The UFC is headed to the apex with 12 fights, and 12 fights means we have 24 different fighters. And with 24 different fighters, that means we have a whole bunch of options to build some lines and make some money playing Underdog Fantasy. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say higher or lower than any of the numbers you see on the screen, you slap a few of them together, and you could make a whole bunch of money. They will even give you free money to play. All you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and you have all sorts of money readily available to you in your account to build whatever entries you want. I'm going to focus squarely on UFC, but you can see based off of all these very pretty razzle-dazzle colors at the top, this is multiple sports. We've got full-blown baseball. We've got NBA playoffs going on right now, NHL playoffs going on right now. If you love the ladies, we've got WNBA as well. You just mix and match some of these lines. You can do cross sports. You can stick with one. All you need is at least two. And then once you start adding from there, your payouts get bigger and bigger. Get the free money. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. Let's go ahead and build an entry. I'm going to focus very squarely on UFC, specifically UFC Vegas 106. What I love about Underdog, and I will say it in every single video, is the amount of options. You'll see here for Yadier Del Valle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 showing, and then an additional 5. We have 9 different opportunities here on this one specific fighter. And that's the beauty of Underdog. What I love to do when they have it, the lower on finishes covers you from a few different fronts. So let's work our way down. Let's find some lines that we enjoy. The lady lines, the round overs, usually make a ton of sense. If you want to go ahead and add Luana Santos and Tainara Lisboa over, that's great. We're going to add another over as well on the Tecia Pennington line. Let's work our way down. I'm not going to touch Denise Gomes and Elise Reed because that could certainly go over, or there could be a finish there. We could get some sneaky plus money on a finish for Denise Gomes because Elise Reed has been finished before. It's not as if she's the beacon of durability. And if you watch all these videos, you know how I normally use the beacon word there. Hyun Sung Park, what I do love here is if we work our way down, his takedown line is at 2. At Prize Picks, we had a more favorable line at 1. The reality is he's going to need 2 takedowns anyway, because while 1 is a more favorable line than 1.5, 1 is a push. You still need 2 to get a win. So let's go ahead and say Hyun Sung Park will get 2 takedowns in order to win this fight. In order to beat Carlos Hernandez, he's going to need a bunch of takedowns. If you don't like the takedown line, you can certainly do the lower on a half a finish. I think both of these things are true. I don't think he's going to finish Carlos Hernandez. I do think he'll get at least 2 takedowns. That's entirely up to you. I think the half a finish is obviously more safe, which is why the payout's a little less, but let's go ahead and plump up that payout. We're going to juice it up a little bit. We'll do the to get 2 takedowns or more than 1.5 takedowns here. If we work our way down, we're going to leave Luana Pinheiro alone. We're going to go to Tecia Pennington. We are going to do the higher on her fight minutes. That is definitely going to go the distance. I would bet my entire life on that. If we work our way down here to Nursultan Ruzaboyev, we can, let's skip Nursultan for now. I have a special little treat for you. If we go Paul Craig, I do think he will land more than the 18.5 significant strikes on the board. I tried to click. I've never seen a payout as high as 8.16x for the knockout, so they took that off the board, but it's still showing there. We're going to do the higher than 18.5 significant strikes. I do think he's going to land at least 19 strikes. I think he ends up in a sloppy bullshit fight with Rodolfo Bellato. I think it's genuinely just sloppy as all hell. Bellato gets clipped. We have seen it in every single one of his UFC fights so far, and I would not be surprised if Paul Craig just came out trying to rip that dude's head off. And in order to do so, he's going to swing like crazy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to Nursultan Ruzaboyev. And if we take a look at Nursultan Ruzaboyev, you will see that his fantasy points are 71.55. Here's how those points are scored. And what I'm going to do is give you a little treat. If we go over to my website, wewantpicks.com, we have a tool called the Event Simulator. What this tool does is it simulates every fight on the card 100,000 times. So let's go ahead and click Run Simulator. What this is doing is it is bringing historical information in, historical striking stats, historical grappling stats. It's taking all that information in and it is simulating each fight 100,000 times, and here are the simulation results. If I click in the menu, which you don't see on your screen, but I see it in mine, I can pick any fighter I want. I'm going to select Nursultan Ruzaboyev. And I'm going to say I do want to see my Underdog Fantasy point scoring. What this has done, based off of those 100,000 simulations, it has averaged out the Underdog Fantasy points. The red line is what these points look like in a loss. The green looks like what they look like in a win. And then the blue is the total distribution line. You can see here the average number, the average Underdog Fantasy points scored in these 100,000 simulations for Nursultan Ruzaboyev is 42.61. But if we go back here, his fantasy score is set at 71.55. Let's go back to the event simulator. I'm going to click on the line and we're going to drag it to 71.55. And if we do that, this is saying 99% of the time in these 100,000 simulations, he will score fewer than 71.55 fantasy points. So the only thing we can do based off of this is hit the lower. Here's another look at how those points are scored. 0.5 point for a significant strike, 5 points for a takedown. If he wins in round 1, it's 50 points. If he wins in round 2, that goes down. If he wins in round 3, that goes down. 4, down, obviously 5, we're not going to get anywhere near their decision win is 10. So really, in order for him to hit the 70, he's going to need to win in the first round, potentially get a knockdown. That'll get him to 60 points and a whole bunch of strikes to get there, and then he'll get to that 71.55. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can trust the data. That is available, this event simulator, not only for Underdog Fantasy, but also Prize Picks, then just straight strikes, significant strikes, a whole bunch of other data and insight that you can use with this simulator. Check that all out at WeWantPicks.com. Let's go ahead and lock this entry in. We'll throw a cool 20 at it, and we will do the flex play. I always do the flex play. These are fist fights. Anything can happen at any moment to any one of these fighters. Let's go ahead and lock that in. And here's that look. Luana Santos, we're doing more on the fight minutes. Hyun Sung Park, we're doing more on the takedowns. But if you prefer to do more on the finish, less on the finish line, that would work as well. We're doing Tecia Pennington. We're doing more on the 14.99 fight minutes. Basically, it has to go to a decision. Paul Craig's going to land more than 19 strikes, and Nursultan is not going to score the 71.55 fantasy points. This is my entry. If you like it, great. If you hate it, that's fine. Build your own. Go to WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Use promo code WWP.